time. So it's pretty exciting tonight because we have John on the line, and basically what we wanted to do tonight is kind of get a bit more of an insight into John's whole journey and find out a bit more about what he's been through, his ups and downs, and what kind of tips and stuff that he can share with everybody else that's on here now tonight listening. Because everybody obviously has their own journeys, and it's not always going to be smooth sailing all the way up. So yeah, John, it's awesome to have you on with us tonight, which is really, really cool.
Thank you, my man. It's great to be on.
Cool. So kind of basically just want to try to take a step back on your journey really, and kind of go back to the very start and kind of really get you to share a little bit about kind of what attracted you to the business in the first place from day one. So obviously when you got introduced to the business, just the same as everybody else, but what was it really that stood out for you when you were looking at the business?
Yeah, it's a really interesting scenario, an interesting question, Steve. I guess I feel like I have a little bit of a unique start to the business, or unique first exposure. You've got the number one and number two money earners in the Juice Plus company, Australia. Just happened to be two very, very good friends of mine, and two long-term friends of mine. Two guys that obviously come from an athlete background as well. For those that haven't met me or don't know, I come from a pro tennis background. And Steve Coulter and Mark Dragon, 200 Club NMDs, with the company, are very, very good mates of mine. Now, you may or may not know those names, but as I said, they're the number one and two money earners in the company. And so my exposure, I guess, to the business was really, looking at the lifestyle that both of these guys had. At that time, I was, working in the corporate world. From the outside in, I look like the successful, guy. I'm earning 150 to 175,000 a year. I've got the brand new BMW. I've got a beautiful apartment on the beaches in Sydney's Northern Beaches. And I'm flying 6 weeks out of every 8, up through Asia and Europe. And, I guess I'm the corporate jet set dude. But, I looked at the lifestyle that Mark and Steve had. And, these are guys that were making more money than I was making, but, they weren't working. Whenever I spoke to them, they were on the beach, or, they were traveling, or they were doing something that was fun. And so I'd known about the Juice Plus business for a long time. I'd certainly known about the product for a long, long time. I've been taking the Juice Plus capsules myself for about, coming on to 18 years now, obviously through Mark and through Steve. So, really, for me, it was just looking at the lifestyle that these guys had. I'd got to a point in my life where I realized that, making money was great, but making time was obviously more valuable. I was averaging somewhere between 80 and 100 hours a week in the corporate world. And if you try to figure out how much time or how many hours are left outside of that, you'll find out that there's not really that many. And so, I was making money, but I certainly wasn't making a life. The Juice Plus business, it was very difficult for me to be skeptical about a business when I had, two very, very good friends of mine that I respected, not only as athletes, but also as individual businessmen in their own right. These are two very successful guys. I'd sort of seen their journey, and these guys have been with the company in Australia since day one. So we're talking about an 18-year history with the company. And so when I'm sitting down around the table with these two guys, and they're talking about the type of, turnover that the company has, the stability in the corporate structure, that the company's been around for 40 plus years, a $15 billion company with the number one selling whole food, fruits, veggies and berries concentrate of its type in the world, and the most thoroughly researched, I would have been silly not to pay attention. These are guys that have both done, tens of millions of dollars. In fact, when I spoke to Mark, when was it? About October 2008, I think I had my first chat with Mark. And I sort of said to him, well, what sort of turnover has your business done? And, Mark said to me at that stage, oh, look, we're a small business. We've done about $70 million of turnover. And I thought, that he meant the company. And I asked him that question, and he said, no, that's me. That's my business with the Juice Plus company. Since I started, we've done about 70 million in turnover. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know many people that I sit around the table with that throw those sort of numbers around. And, I guess, Steve, for me, the first exposure that I had was one that was really purely business. There was none of the knuckleheadery or the negative comments about pyramid or anything like that. I come from a business development background. So, I came to the table with a very open mind, and I was talking with two very successful guys that were throwing big numbers around. So, the business to me from day one just made sense. When I found out that, you're dealing with a company that has the #1 selling product of its type in the world, and this product has been the #1 for 18 years, and the most thoroughly researched, and we happen to have a product that more than 94% of the population really needs. And I posted, the Australian Bureau of Statistics figures just in Team Falcon, I think yesterday or the day before, that are still showing, I think that was the 2012 or 2013 results, saying that, more than 95% of the population are not getting anywhere near the minimum amount of fruits, veggies and berries, nutrients in their diet every day. So, I guess for me, Steve, I just put two and two together. You've got the #1 product in the world, and you've got more than 95% of the population that really need it. To me, that was $1 million business opportunity right from day one. And, the two guys that happened to expose me to the company had already done, tens of millions of dollars of turnover and had hugely successful businesses. So, I guess I'm a little left of field. I certainly don't think that most people have that kind of exposure as their first exposure to Juice Plus. But, that was my first exposure. And I guess, coming from a business development background, having built successful companies in the past, doing excellent due diligence on the product and on the company, on the research, was my next step. And I certainly did that to satisfy myself that this was a direction in a business that I wanted to get my head around. And, long story short, here we are today. We're coming up, I think in January, it'll be our 7th year in the business. We're personally doing just on 4 million a year in turnover. And it's been a great success story and the best thing that I could have ever done. Those of you that are seeing some of the photos, I'm trying to keep the photos of my lifestyle to a minimum on Facebook, because I know that, some people get a little irritated by it. Social media, you're supposed to be sharing your lifestyle and sharing all of the good stuff, but, not everyone likes that. So I'm trying to keep them to a minimum, but, I'm sure you guys get an idea of the way that we're living in it. And it's been fantastic. I'm blessed and I'm thankful for it.
Awesome. So, yeah, so obviously you kind of, when you started off, you seen what Mark and Steve were going through, and then you obviously were looking at your own life and how much time and effort you were actually putting in to be successful compared to what they were doing. And it obviously, alarm bells kind of went off and go, right, if they can do that, why can't I do something like that? Because you obviously were very driven and everything to get to the top of the corporate ladder from what you were doing. And that kind of leads into the next kind of question I was going to ask you, and it just kind of just sharing a few tips really. And because I know a lot of people, when they get into this business and they make out their list and stuff, and they won't necessarily put down people that they already see as being successful. And it's not, and they're the type of people that I believe would be the best in this business, because if they're successful at something else, they could easily be successful at this. So what kind of tips would you have for, especially the new people that have to start, and based around how to approach people that are already successful? Or what kind of vision would you really want to try and create for them?
Yeah, look, I think that's an excellent question, Steve, and you've made a really, really good point. You and I have spent a lot of time around a table, Steve, and that fundamentally, I'm a pretty simple guy. I like to break things down into the most simple, elements and just keep everything really easy. And so when I think about this, I think, you're developing a business with the Juice Plus company, and I say this in my training. If you want a small business, then, you're thinking about putting on some clients, some customers, and you're thinking about developing a client base. If you want a big business, right from day one, you're thinking about team. And, I often talk about the fact that there's not $1 million company that I know, a company that has $1 million turnover, that has just one person working in the company. You go from being an employee to, maybe stepping out and being self-employed. But, I went down that path as well. And as a self-employed person, every client that you have is your boss. And, your earnings are limited because there are only so many hours in the day that you can work yourself. So naturally, if you're thinking about, making big profits in a business, you've got to be thinking about, building a company, building a team, because it's a team that you can leverage your efforts, leverage your growth, and leverage your profits. And if we understand the marketing plan, of this business, which I do, and I did from day one, one of the most remarkable things that I've learned is that there's only a tiny percentage of franchisees that have ever looked at their virtual franchise business owner's manual. And I find that, that flabbergasts me, because you're actually joining a company, becoming a franchisee with a company. And, to me, it just makes logical sense that you would look at the owner's manual and, learn as much as you can and understand your marketing plan, understand your business as much as you can. When I looked at the owner's manual, I saw very quickly the way that we build, structure, the way that we build turnover, and we achieve the promotions in the company. And all of that had to do with team. There's no position in the company above senior direct that you can earn if you don't have a team and you're not helping others, training others to build clients and build team themselves. And, when I was looking at this business, I didn't want to fiddle around, in direct and senior direct. I wanted to set myself free. I had $150,000 to $170,000 a year of corporate earnings that I had to replace through this business. And, obviously getting involved in building a team, I just recognized I needed to do that immediately, because that's what the marketing plan requires of us if we want to, move through to even sales coordinator. And simpler than that, if you want to become a senior direct, and I teach the Senior Direct Express Track module, over and over, because it's the single building block of our business. We need team members in our first, few weeks to even make that Senior Direct Rocket Express Track program. So, if I then break that down as simply as I possibly can to you guys, if I ask you a question, I'm going to ask you this question. Does it make more sense to you to bring on quality people into your business team, or high quality people or low quality people into your business team? Now, one of the things I spend a lot of time talking to people about is, let's forget that our company is a direct marketing company. Let's just assume that we were starting up a business of our own in any other industry. Steve, I know you're a PT. But it wouldn't matter what your business is, whether you're a hairdresser or you own a cafe, or, you're involved in architecture and property development, as I was. The reality is that if you want to have a successful business, you can certainly leverage your time and build successful business faster if you bring in people that are more capable, more successful, more driven, more ambitious. It's not to discount the fact that, everybody deserves a chance in our business, of course. But one of the things that I teach is that if you're in a conventional business and you are hiring for, positions within your business, you would be sitting across a table and interviewing people, and you would have a set agenda of questions, and you would understand the role and the tasks that the people that you were bringing on into your team, needed to handle on a daily basis, and what they needed to do. And, the chances are you'd probably be asking them some questions, about why they're motivated to work with your particular company, what they're driven by. In other words, I just don't believe that anybody would set up any company and just drag anyone in off the street, right, that had no skills and no qualifications, no drive, no ambition, no motivation, and couldn't actually bring anything to the table. So, I guess that's coming from my business development background. That just made sense to me. And the reality is that if you want to build a business quickly, then the higher the quality of candidate that you can bring to the table, the faster you're going to be able to move your business. Chances are that these are people that have probably got skills that are above your level of skill. And Richard Branson says it best. He says, listen, if you want to build a massively successful company, you don't have to be the best at everything in your company. You're not supposed to do all of the roles yourself. What you need to do is you need to bring on capable people that have got great skills in the areas that you're looking for, and just encourage them and motivate them and provide a platform for those people to fly. And really, I guess that's what we've done at Team Falcon from day one. I believed in building an online training platform so that I could make sure that all of the secrets and the things that I was doing to build my business at the pace that I was could easily be duplicated and taught 100%, right, through the team, because obviously in our business we get lots of team coming in at different levels. And if we didn't have Team JP University in place and all of that training that everybody gets, which is exactly the same, it's like rubber stamping, right, because everyone's reading exactly the same material, then what we have is we have a situation of Chinese whispers, right, where I'm going to train you and you're going to train your frontline team. And by the time we get down to level 5, I guarantee you that what I was training you on is not being taught down at level 5. And so, the training, the learning and the skills transference deteriorates. So, going back to tips, I guess, for approaching successful people, guys, you've got to understand successful people, they're only successful because they've chosen to be, right? We're all born the same. We get held upside down and smacked on the bum and we make a big squawk. We start life the same and we all finish up in the same place. And it's what we do between the day that we're born and the day that we die, that makes us different. So, successful people are people like anyone else. We get people that are starstruck by athletes, starstruck by TV personalities. These are just normal people, and again, I guess growing up around athletes, maybe my perception is a bit different, but I just want to encourage you guys to think about successful people as just people. Okay. Now I was, my background in the corporate world, but the reality was that, and Steve, I've said this to you many times, I would have pushed a marble across a desert of broken glass with my tongue to get out of what I was doing, right? To free up my time and create a life. Like, I used to sit in the office for 14 to 18 hours every single day. And I don't know how many times I used to stare out the window and it'd be blue skies and sunshine. And all I could think about was running around a park or being in the surf or, living life. I just wanted to do something that was not being trapped in an environment under fluorescent lights, right, with all of this stress and crap and, stuff that we had to put up with. So, I'm very thankful, I guess, for the guys, to have the common sense and the gumption, I guess, to speak to me. I mean, it was easy for those guys. They were already successful guys. But, every single person that I've spoken to, even when I first started this business, and again, I posted the other day that, I was nothing special at this business when I started. But I did understand that I've learned some skills in my life and become very good at things that were much harder than this business. So, I knew that if I just applied myself to the learning, I could learn how to share the product and, follow up and share the business and follow up and teach a few people to do the same. I mean, my goodness, there's nothing difficult about any of that. So, the best tip that I can give you is to go back to understanding that our business is a numbers game. Okay. You just got to put a list together make sure you put all of your people on that list. Don't leave anybody off. Don't make up someone else's mind for them. Allow them to make up their own mind. The truth is you'll never know, right, who is going to be interested in your opportunity or not. And it's not your business to determine who's interested or not. It's their business. So for goodness sake, put everybody on your list. Just treat everybody equally. Understand that it's a numbers game. And, my only other advice is if you understand that you've got some really high quality people around you and on your list, for goodness sake, put those people at the top of your list and not the bottom, right? In other words, work together with your sponsor if you have to, but go to the most successful, the most ambitious, the most driven, the most capable. Go to those people first, right? With the help of your sponsor and your upline. Don't wait, until months down the track or a year down the track, because if you can bring in 3 capable people into your business, right, very early days, within your first 90 days, I promise you can ignite a fire in your business. So, put those people at the top of your list. Treat everyone like just every other person, and don't be scared, guys. It wouldn't matter if it's a 1 out of 10 caliber person that says no to you or a 10 out of 10 that says no. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is, am I building my team, and am I building my front line? Okay, so Steve, does that help you there?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That was really cool.
Magic.
I think another thing as well, I believe that people need to fully understand is about having their full belief in their business of what it actually can achieve for people. So when they have that full belief, it is so much easier just to share it with everybody anyway, no matter what level somebody's at.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, Steve, this is why I believe it's so fundamentally important that every franchisee commits to going to a conference, right? That the local Australian conference. I mean, in my mind, honestly, you're not a franchisee until you've been to your company's annual national conference, because you just don't have the exposure to the company. You don't have the exposure to the business at that level. You've got a tiny little imagined picture of what this might be, because you've spoken to your sponsor, you've joined the business, but you've got no idea of the enormity of the success and the people in the business. And that's the greatest thing that you can do, is getting yourself into the live events, like this, where you can see ordinary people from all walks of life. There's no superstars that come into this business that are just amazing from day one. You'll just see people that are ordinary people from all ages, all backgrounds, that have just chosen to apply themselves to this business, learn the skills, and just keep doing the work. So, definitely it's so important to get exposure to the live corporate events whenever they're on. And, to that extent, I'm talking about the company Zoom events, and, for goodness sake, just give yourself as much exposure to the company and to the business that you're a part of as you possibly can. Give yourself every advantage to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. So then kind of taking you back in your journey again, kind of back to the start, because I believe that everybody goes through tough times in their business, and sometimes they may feel that are they doing the right thing? So can you share some struggles that you may have went through at the start, or things that you may have had to overcome yourself when you were starting off your business?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously I'll share some of the major stuff, because, the reality is that as I look back over 7 years, Steve, there was a ton of things that, we went through that were very difficult. But, probably the most telling one was right at the very outset of my business. I literally had sat down with the guys in October 2008. Now, the reason I sat down with those guys then, by the way, was because I'd collapsed in the office. I was working just one day. It was 1,000,000 degrees in the office. I think I'd come off 36 hours straight without sleep. Like, we had a major deadline on $1 billion project that I was working on in the UAE. And, after years and years of just pushing my body, I collapsed. I came to in the back of an ambulance on the way to St. Vincent's Hospital. And, I virtually got told that I needed to completely change my lifestyle if I wanted to see out the next decade of my life. So, that's a pretty scary thing. How I arrived there, is still mind-boggling to me. I mean, I come from, a pro sport background, had always been very healthy, super fit athlete. And here I was, in the corporate world, just under so much stress and strain that my body just packed it in. So, it's October that I look at the business, and I'm sort of, doing due diligence then. I don't look at any business opportunity and just, sign on the dotted line, even though I was talking to some highly credible guys that had a very successful business. It was still important for me to do all of the checking, about the company that I needed to do to satisfy myself that this was something that I was going to take on seriously, particularly because I'd arrived at a point in my life where obviously I couldn't continue living and working and doing what I was doing. I kind of wanted to see out more than the next decade of my life. If it was up to me, I'd live to be about 5,000. Everyone that knows me knows how much I love life. And so, I was in a pretty serious predicament where I needed to completely change what I was doing. So, look, it took me a few months. I got going virtually at the start of January. I decided that I was going to get going. I think it was about the 14th of January. The global financial crisis had hit a major, sort of hot point, I guess. And I'm in an industry, architecture, property development, and finance. Those industries are the hardest hit at the time of economic decline and economic downfall. So, I roll into work one day to find out that, I was one of 19 redundancies. It was announced on that day. Now, I'm in a very niche position with the company that I'm working with. So, earning the type of money that I was earning, that money wasn't on the table. I mean, imagine, when you're earning 150 to 175,000 a year and you've got a particular skill set, it's not like you can just go to the paper and pick up any job, right, and replace the earnings that you're on. So your options for earning money at that level are extremely limited. And yet, as a high-flying sort of corporate guy, I'd managed to build up over $2 million of liabilities in terms of, share portfolios, property, different investments, because I was going down a conventional path to set myself free. So really, in 2009, that was 15 years into a 16-year plan for me. It was 2010 where I had my exit strategy. I was going to sell down, some of the properties that I had bought. I was going to sell down some of my shares, free up cash, pay the debts out and the liabilities on the remaining properties, and live on the rent. So that was my grand plan. And all of a sudden, I had the rug pulled out from underneath me. I'm in a position where I've got over $2 million of debt, and I don't have a cent of money coming in. And, when you're holding that kind of debt, it's not much good, right, getting a part-time job, waiting tables or, making coffee on $25,000 or $30,000 a year. That really doesn't, cover it. So, I guess when I started the business, I was under more pressure, more stress, and had more reasons probably, not to start a business that wasn't providing me with big cash flow straight away. I think I had more reasons than anyone, not to really pay attention to this business. But instead, all that I could think about was that this is the perfect timing in the universe. It's really forcing my hand. It's am I serious about this business opportunity? I've done my due diligence. I can see that it's $1 million opportunity. If I'm serious about it, now is the best time for me to go, because, excuse the language, but my balls are literally on a chopping block. My back's to the wall. I've got nowhere to turn. And so, I look back on those days, Steve, and I'm actually very, very thankful for that, because one of the things that I think holds franchisees back is that, maybe they're a little bit too comfortable in their situation. In other words, every franchisee starts the business on a part-time basis, and, they'll set whatever types of goals that they have to meet, whatever needs they have. Some people only want a few hundred a month. Some people want, a few thousand. Some people want to replace their, large scale corporate earnings like I did. But, if you're in a situation where, you're kind of thinking, oh, well, if I can make $1,000 or $2,000, $3,000 a month from this business, wouldn't that be great? But, you've got a full-time job where you're making $60,000 or $80,000 a year. Well, you're not really under enough pressure, in your life to take the business very seriously and focus on it and really give it what it deserves. And for that reason, I think people approach their part-time, a little bit haphazard, just not organized enough, not serious enough, maybe not with enough intention, I guess. And that's why, I'm a big fan of the 90-day game plan. Having helped others build $3,000 a month, within 90 days of starting the business, I kind of have got to a point after 7 years where I realized, Steve, that $3,000 a month is about the starting point that starts to make a really big difference in people's lives. That's about the point where they can start thinking about maybe cutting back to doing part-time work. Maybe we're going to do 3 days or 4 days a week, and we're going to start to buy back 1 day a week of life. And I'm a big fan of changing the whole thing about the work-life balance. I think that that's a nonsense. As long as you are working 5 days a week and have 2 days of life, of weekend, well, that can never be in balance, right? So my idea is that the only way that you get life-work balance is to start changing those numbers. You want to start adding more days of life and starting to decrease the days of work. So, I guess, Steve, that was my biggest hardship. Was really right at day one of the business. I'm carrying $2 million of debt, and not a cent of earnings coming in. I really had to take this business very seriously, right from day one and get stuck in. Other tough things, that have come by during the course of the business. I mean, look, every business goes through ups and downs. You're putting in the work and you're doing what, you think that you need to be doing. And, it's just not coming as quickly as perhaps you would expect it to or would love it to. And, it's very easy at that time to start doing less when in fact what you should be doing is doing more. And, I said the other day in Team Falcon that when I started the business, this was very new to me. The whole business of learning how to, really connect with people again and focus on their goals and dreams and all of the stuff that we do in this business. That was pretty alien to me. I'd spent so many years in corporate behind, machines that I really had to sort of learn and develop those skills. So, I look back on it now, as I said, like in January marks the start of our 7th year. And, I look at the business very differently now. What I understand, Steve, is that every time that I thought that I was going through a hardship or something that was difficult in the business, I've just realized that was me at a time in my life where I just needed to learn some more stuff, right? I needed to grow a little bit more in myself, to acquire some better skills, get better at what I was doing so that I could get better results. And of course, how do we do that? Well, I read a lot of books. I made a strong point of reading a chapter a night of some personal growth, self-development book, watching a lot of positive videos on YouTube. There's so much incredible, leadership training and mental strength training, business development training, so much free stuff that's available to us these days. It's incredible. So, I suppose the time of hardships that we go through, they're all going to be different for each of us, but basically they're the same. We're going to look at our business at some point and go, bloody hell, I want it to go faster. I want it to be bigger. I want to be earning more money. And, that's something that we all have in common. And, also the growth curve that we're each going to have as individuals, we're going to go through that in common as well. So as I said before, we start in the same place in life. We all finish up in the same place, but, it's what we do with ourselves and who we decide that we're going to be in between those two dates in our life that will determine, how successful we're going to be. Does
Awesome.
that help?
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
that help there, guys? Yeah.
It was awesome. It was really good. And that, it kind of leads into the next thing I was going to talk about, really. And that's, I was listening to a podcast, I think it was last week, on MLM Nation. And one of the guys was saying that he said, well, he said that you should never compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10. Now, I know, especially for all the new people that are coming in now and they're seeing your posts and stuff like that, and all they're seeing is you surfing and your lifestyle stuff. So they're just, I know that some people may think that they don't actually really understand all the hard work and everything that you actually put in to be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
So kind of what I just want to really get you to elaborate on is what your kind of daily activities look like. So I know you said there that you really focus on personal development and business development every day. But what other kind of things were you doing daily, and that you kind of made sure that you did every day because you knew that that's what you needed to do to move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it was really interesting in the early days, mate, because when I first got going in the business under all of that pressure, just touching on what I was talking about before, I had to virtually sell my property on the beachfront, at fire sale prices, just to unload and take some of the pressure off, stop some of the bleeding of cash. I moved back to a single bedroom in my mum's house. Now, I'm 39 years of age, going from corporate high flyer to, suddenly living in a single bedroom back in my mum's house. My dad, as you know, Steve, passed away 19 years ago with cancer, which is where my passion, for health and nutrition obviously comes from. But, under all of that duress and what I was going through, one thing I recognized to be successful is you've got to eliminate excuses. I could have sat in that single bedroom and I could have felt sorry for myself, and I could have made every excuse under the sun not to do the very simple work that's required of this business. And I touched base on those before. All we do in this business is we share our program, our DCN program, we share our products, we follow up on those, and we share our business opportunity and we follow up on that, right? We build some team and we train our team in those very basic things as well, and we support them and do some events, and we basically socialize and have fun. So, right from day one, Steve, the very first thing I did was to eliminate excuses. I think that there's a saying, it says that you can have excuses or you can have success, but you certainly can't have both. And so, point number one, the greatest thing that I can possibly tell anybody, in terms of disciplining yourself, is, for goodness sake, recognize when you're making excuses and do something about that. Just write down the excuse if you have to, screw the paper up, chuck it in the bin so that you're physically throwing that excuse away. But, just become very aware, of when you're making excuses. Hold yourself accountable to stop doing it. Now, it's a very big thing if you've got excuse-itis, or, like a lot of people have been making excuses in life for a long time. So, you can't expect to get rid of this habit, all at once. But what you can do is you can commit to making, yourself better day by day. And, each time that you find yourself making an excuse about something, I think it's a great idea to have a diary, an excuse diary. And, when you find yourself making excuses about why you're not doing something or whatever, write the excuse down and go back to that diary at the end of each week, and look at it and just, find out how many times each week you're making excuses for not doing what you need to do. And, most people that I've done this exercise with, they're very surprised at their own inner language, at their own habits, of the excuses that they make, which are just such massive roadblocks for them, each week. So that's number one. You've just got to leave excuses at the door. We've all got challenges in life. We've all got, things that we're dealing with. But the reality is that, if we let those things get in the way, they're always going to get in the way, and they're always going to be there, and we're never going to make any changes. So, number one is to get rid of your excuses. Number two really is to be accountable. To be accountable, I really believe that you've got to be very connected to your actual goal. Like you've joined the company, you've joined the business, and I believe that every franchisee joins a business or starts a business because they do have a very specific reason, a goal, a need, something that has made them attracted to the idea of being in business for themselves, earning extra money, creating extra time. So you've got to spend some time with yourself and really, really know, what is it about your life right now that's frustrating you, that, is sort of causing unhappiness, things that you would like to improve, things that you'd like to, get rid of, and change. And you've really got to be honest with yourself, about where you want your life to be. What does your ideal life look like? And I'm not talking about the sort of, if I won, $10 million, this is what it would look like. I'm saying that we start at a very simple level and we identify, the things that are causing us the most pain, in our life right now. For me, it was time. Money wasn't an issue. I was making money, but my God, I just didn't own a minute of my life, and it was driving me insane. I couldn't do any of the stuff that I loved. I wasn't able to see friends. I wasn't able to see family. I mean, it was torture. I look back at it now and I don't understand how I ever did it. And there was enough pain inside me about that I was driven, to hold myself accountable every day to change my situation and my circumstances. And, the reality is that nobody can make you a success apart from yourself. And, if you really value the time that you've got on the planet, while you're still living and breathing, and you love your family, and you want to do great things and have a great quality of life, you have to take it on board that the only person that's going to be able to change that is you. And the great thing is that you're born with all of the stuff inside you that will allow you to create whatever reality you want. And despite your circumstances and whatever your past is, that has nothing to do with your future. You've only got to commit and be accountable, right, to a few basic skills, and developing a few habits that you lock into, right, day after day. And right there, Steve, I think is a key. Understanding that you need to do enough work on a daily basis, to be able to establish good work habits. And I think that the sooner that you can establish some habits in your routine for your business, that's really going to help you also. You can't sort of approach your business haphazardly. I'll do a bit today and I'll do a bit, in 5 days' time, and maybe I'll do a bit next week. That's just not going to cut it. So you need to develop some disciplines and some habits around your work. Outside of that, I think you really do need to commit to some personal development. Do some reading. If you're not a reader, there's plenty of audio books that you can just plug into. I did a lot of that as well, really because I was exhausted. I just couldn't bring myself to read some nights, but I would chuck my headphones in and just lie there as I was going to sleep and just listen to stuff. I think it's really, really important that we try to get some positive influence from very positive, successful people. Not all of us have that in our life. So I think anything that you can do to get exposure to successful people that can add value to you at a higher level and help you to change your thinking, become more positive. I think that's really important. I think it's really important to, become a company person. Involve yourself, with the live events that the company are doing, the training, just try to get exposure. And the last thing, Steve, I guess, there's a long list, but, we don't have time. I'm just trying to cover some of the most important ones. And the last one, that I believe is really important is understanding that you can't be successful as an individual in this business. And that's as an individual, working with a team. Remember, you've got upline and downline and sideline. And, we have such great people at Team Falcon. I feel really blessed to have met so many people that have come on board in our team, some great leadership that have come through. The best thing that you can do is just get really active within the Team Falcon environment. Get on the live events, get the exposure, just be around the other Falcons, the other franchisees, even with the company, even if it's a company event, plug into this stuff so that you're getting exposure and you're meeting other people, making friends in the business with other people going through exactly the same stuff, that we're all going through. And that way you'll feel supported. You won't feel isolated. And that's a great accountability tool also, because you'll start seeing other people going through, what you're going through, or maybe going through stuff that's even worse. But these people are, staying disciplined to doing their work. And that helps you, because it's then, well, if they can, I can. I guess that they're probably my key tips, Steve. That's probably a top 5 there, I guess.
Yeah, no, that was really awesome. And like, even when we used to catch up every week, it was really inspiring to be meeting up with you, and you sharing with me about all your lifestyle stuff, and even sharing about the bigger picture and the bigger goals that you wanted to achieve. And then that was kind of the first stepping stone for me to actually say, right, I'm gonna stop working Wednesdays. So when I stopped working Wednesdays, and we used to catch up on the beach and go for a swim and
Brilliant.
grab breakfast and stuff. So it was really, really, it was more of an eye opener for me. It was like the first stone to say, right, this is what is possible. You can be living this lifestyle. And so then from there, obviously at that time, you're already living life on your terms, but you started speaking about bigger goals, saying that you want to get more of a lifestyle back. You want to have that house back on the beach, and you want to be getting out surfing and everything every day. And now you're doing that. And like, we see all the posts all the time. I'm sure that's inspiring other people as well. So can you just share a little bit about now, kind of like how you feel and what it's actually meant to you now of building up that residual income coming in?
Yeah, it always gets a little emotional, when I think about it, honestly, because I guess at my age, I'd spent a few decades grinding away and working extremely hard. One thing I was blessed to be born with was high work ethic, and it was always because I understood that work was never the end in itself, but it was just a means to an end. I always thought that what we should do with life is work, but put aside money, acquire assets. The purpose of working was not just to pay bills. The purpose of working was to get to a point where we could create and build a lifestyle so that we didn't have to work anymore, and we could actually enjoy being alive and enjoy this whole life experience. I had a mate of mine. He's actually staying with us. He flew in this afternoon, and we were talking about this because Kyle has known what my dreams were. I used to articulate, and chat with Kyle and other friends, Steve, you as well, about exactly the type of place that I wanted to live in. I had a vision board that was up in front of me, and the incredible thing is that if you guys come and visit, where I'm living right now, I know that you've seen some of the photos, and you look at my vision board, and if you had have known me, 15, 20 years ago, and heard my conversations about how I wanted to live life and what I believed life was going to be, you would see that today, I truly am. It literally is like I've somehow stepped into my vision board, and I'm living that life. How do I feel? It was only a couple of hours ago I was standing on the balcony, just at sunset here. We've got a beautiful big swell on at the moment. It's 3 to 4 foot. I don't know if there's any other people that love surf out there, but my God, if you come and stay with me, I'm going to chuck you all on a surfboard and at least push you into some waves and have some fun. But I live on the Super Bank up here on the Gold Coast. It's the best surfing break that there is in all of Australia. That to me was my dream. When every single morning when I walk out on that balcony and I see that these waves, like literally that I can reach out and touch from where I'm living, Steve, it still hasn't sunk in. I moved into our new place in February. It's 7 months now I'm pinching myself daily. I feel so blessed, so thankful that the almost 6.5 years or just on of building this business just feels like it's gone in the blink of an eye. I don't really recall a lot of it. I just remember being busy, and all I can see is our life in the moment, and living each day and maximizing each day, having all of the fun and all of the time and freedom in the world to be able to do the stuff that I love. And I guess coming from such a highly stressful environment, where literally almost 14 hours a day, my hands would be shaking. I was under a lot of pressure. It was a crazy, insane lifestyle. And inside I'm just a relaxed surfer guy. That's how I wanted to live. But I just realized that to have that lifestyle, you needed to make a truckload of money to be free, to live life. And, it's the greatest irony of all is that I'm happiest doing the most simple things in the world that don't really cost money. But my God, to be able to do it and be free, right? It costs money. Like life costs money. And so, it's very difficult for me to really explain, Steve, how amazing and incredible it feels. It's still sinking in for me. All I know is that I've never, ever slept through the night the way that I sleep now. I've had 7 months of just the best sleep ever up here. It's just peaceful. I wake up every morning so happy, just relaxed. There's not anything that's pressure or stress in life. I get to go out and paddle into the ocean. I start my day with 3 or 4 hours of activity, playing around, doing what I really like to do. I do a couple of hours of messaging and reaching into the team and doing some team coaching, team training, some events and things on the phone, or maybe I do a live event here. So really, as far as my business is concerned now, I only work 2 to maximum 3 hours a day. And it's very difficult for me to even call what we do in this business work, because, all I do is I go down to our local cafe, or I have people up here at home, or, I meet them out at the surf club, whatever it might be. And, we talk about the DCN program and the capsules, or, we talk about the business and, life and lifestyle and stuff. And in all honesty, that to me is just socializing. I don't see anything that we do in this business as actual work. I'd be sitting at the cafe or, across the road or wherever, chatting with someone anyway. I just happen to be chatting with them about something I'm really passionate about. And that's our program, our products and our business. So, Steve, I'm so excited because I know you're asking me to try to tell you how it feels to live in my shoes. And that's a very difficult thing for me to do. But for you and Juliana, you guys are coming to stay here with us at the beginning of October. So, I guess I'm going to get on another call with you after that. And I'm going to say, well, Steve, I don't know, mate, you tell me how good it is to be living this lifestyle. And, it might come easier from you. But all I can say, guys, is that whatever you dream of, whatever, it doesn't have to be, an extravagant lifestyle. It just has to be, I believe that every one of us deserves to wake up, without stress, without pressure, without worry, just so that we can enjoy being alive. And that's truly what I get to experience now on a daily basis, thanks to this business and this company. And I'm forever so grateful for it.
It's really inspiring.
Difficult question, mate. Really difficult question to answer. So I hope that I've been able to help you guys somehow with that.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It's really, really inspiring to hear that. And I think that's something that everybody does need to hear, to see what the bigger picture actually looks like, so that people can actually visualize in that head. And if that's something that they want to do, then they know that it is possible and they can actually work towards that as well. So now that you've achieved so much already, where do you see yourself, say, in the next 2 to 3 years? What would you like to achieve?
Yeah, well, it's really, really interesting, Steve, because, I guess I spent the majority of my life, aiming at at what I thought was absolutely the ultimate, you know, and really for me, that was just setting myself free and being happy. So, you know, I've done that now. Every day, you know, the business just gets more and more fun. It's more and more relaxing, and it's increasingly rewarding. You know, really the goals that I have now, you know, from my own personal perspective, Steve, that there is absolutely nothing that I am wanting. There's nothing that I aspire to in terms of greater quality of life or, you know, happiness or anything. There's nothing that I can accumulate that will make me happier as an individual than where I am right now. But, you know, what's happened is there's been a big shift in my own focus. What makes me really joyous and happy now is seeing you guys, other franchisees come through Team Falcon and really, you know, change their life and live their dreams. And, you know, the last 12 months has been an incredible time, you know, for me, I guess, as the leader of Team Falcon in watching other people come through. We've developed two, you know, not just NMDs, but NMD superstars that we've developed. And, you know, one of them, Shahira, you know, who built to NMD in 18 months, you know, a mother of four, super busy, under enormous financial stress. You know, her husband, Robert, had to do 2 jobs because Shahira needed to pull out of her corporate environment to look after the kids. You know, that it was placing all sorts of pressure, stress and strain on their family. And, you know, now it's 20 months later. I think she made 18 months or maybe 21 months. And, you know, I know Robert and Shahira, we speak often, and Robert and Shahira are over in Curacao right now, where they, you know, both are originally from, with family. If you have a look on their Facebook, I mean, you know, they're having the time of their life, and they're both free. They work together from home on their business, you know, full time. And it was their biggest dream to be able to take their family back, you know, to where they were from originally, because a lot of the close friends and family had never met the kids. They couldn't afford to get the family back there. And these guys are traveling and, you know, living their dreams. And, you know, I can't even tell you how incredible that makes me feel, that we've been able to provide a platform, you know, through Team Falcon, where we've been able to duplicate and allow other people to come through. And then, you know, we've of course got Sahil as well, a 22-year-old guy coming from a security guard background, that lived day in and day out in a very negative environment around, you know, super negative people. Sahil is one of these, you know, amazing people. He just has such passion for life and, you know, such belief in living a great life. But he was constantly being torn down by those that were around him. And, you know, for those that have spoken to Sahil, you'll know the energy of this, you know, terrific young bloke. If you don't know and haven't heard the story, well, you know, Sahil is now in month 8 with the Juice Plus company and with Team Falcon. And he's very, very close to having $1 million a year business. Only 8 months in. In month 7, he made national marketing director. And Sahil is traveling, you know, the world as a 22-year-old bloke, you know, having the greatest time building business wherever he's going. And I'm super, super excited because Sahil's actually coming to visit Zoe and I here in Coolangatta on the Gold Coast in November. And that'll be the first time, you know, that we've ever seen each other in the live environment. So, you know, Steve, I guess the greatest joy for me is, you know, being as much a part of the community, as much a part of Team Falcon as I can be, continue to lead and motivate and inspire you guys, and, you know, do what I can to help you guys live your dreams and, you know, certainly have some amazing experiences. We travel together, you know, and just spend quality life together, Steve. So, you know, I guess for me, it's no more material gain. You know, financially, we're taken care of. The business is growing anyway. So, you know, with or without us, that's going to happen now. So it really is. I just have such a deep, you know, longing wish that you guys all, you know, get serious about your business and, you know, set yourself free, whatever that means for you. I just want everybody's happiness. That's really where my goals lie, Steve.
Awesome. That's really cool. So, so just to wrap it up then, do you have any kind of final tips or anything that you'd like to share before we get going?
Yeah, I guess, the biggest tips are, don't second guess the systems that we've got at Team Falcon. We've already built really successful franchisees that have really just, done everything, that I've taught at Team Falcon. They've done it, by the book. They've written their contact lists. They've made, a solid accountability plan. They've worked out where they're doing their Juice Plus business work in the week and set a diary so that it's like clockwork. They're taking their business seriously, applying themselves to doing the work, and, working really, really well with their upline. Not just their sponsor, but, upline leadership, all the way up to the company, including Celine. I mean, every franchisee has all of the support, Steve, that they could possibly want, both within Team Falcon and external, just through the company. So, my tips are keep it simple, follow the system, work diligently, set clear action plans with your upline and hold yourself accountable, guys. Like, there's amazingly capable people that, that are on this call tonight. There's others that, will be listening in later. You've all got the ability to achieve, whatever it is that you want to achieve. So, take it seriously, be excited. Make sure you have fun, guys, with your business. When you're going to be successful is when you're actually really enjoying what you're doing. So, add your own flavor to it. Follow the systems. Do the stuff that's taught in principle, but, don't be afraid to add your own flavor and have fun with your business as well. And mainly, guys, just stay connected to the team. Work really well with your upline. Every one of us has got someone that has a vested interest in your success, and that will work with you side by side. Get on phone calls, do 3-ways, do events for you. It really help you to achieve your goals. So, plug in, lock in, be happy, give it everything that you've got, guys, and I can't wait to see you at the top.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. I'm sure everybody.
You're welcome.
I'm sure everybody got loads of notes as well from that, and it's really cool as well for some of the people that haven't really heard your story before to actually hear that and hear a bit more about your journey and what it's actually taken you to get up to the top. So, so thank you for that. It's been awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, so we'll just to wrap it up there now anyway. So we're going to be running these trainings every single Sunday. So it's going to be on the same time every week. So, and this is open up to everybody. So whoever wants to tune in for it, be sure to jump on. And does anybody have any questions at all for John before we wrap it up? If you have any questions, just unmute yourself. No?
Just getting a lot of positive comments coming in here, guys. Thanks for that. It's always I really strive to try to add value. Everyone's in such different places with their business, and I really hope, guys, that you all got something out of tonight. So thanks for being part of it.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys.
You're welcome.
Catch you all soon. Have a good night.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.